So when I first saw my very first spectacled bear in the wild, one of the things that most drew me to this species, and just looking at this photo, was just their gentle face, the kindness that you see in the eyes. And that's what kept me here for 15 years, is that photo. But really, it's that number, 5,000 bears left in the wild. Those numbers you probably heard all throughout the day. Numerous species, numbers are declining. And this species is the only bear species in South America. It's got small little populations throughout, from Venezuela all the way down to Bolivia. But they have the right and they deserve to live and remain in the wild. This is the incredible communication that we hear between the female and the cub. They have an incredible vocalization, and this is a video we took probably 2 months ago, just outside of Machu Picchu or within the reserve. And just watching the species live, this is a very healthy ecosystem, and watching the interaction, looking at the health of that species, it gives you such great hope for bears overall. But one of the things, and I've posted this photo in the past, but like, what bear climbs rocks like this? Like, this is a rock climbing bear. I mean, think about Yosemite, and this bear is crossing these massive areas to reach food. And this is one of the snails that they're trying to reach, but this cub is only like 5 months old. But the another thing I feel like I relate with these guys is that they love mud puddles. They love rolling and bathing in mud. They know how to have a really good time. And while sometimes I feel like this is my spirit animal, these guys also like to bathe. And after I played in the mud as a child, I did not like to bathe. But they know how to chill. They know how to relax. They play in the mud. So they're super charismatic. They're really an amazing species to watch. But I feel like I relate more to this. So after our mud puddle get all dirty, fighting with my sibling here to have the first bath. But I'm just trying to bring light to this species because they're an animal that most people never get the opportunity to see. They are in different zoos around the world, but to really see them in their natural environment and to show all these incredible characteristics is just such an honor to us, to our team. And they have such different, so most people here have seen black bears, grizzly bears. They are the way they walk around and they kind of stomp, but these guys spend a lot of their time standing. They pose, they're climbing trees, they build nests, they have a really interesting kind of behavior, but they look very human-like. And I think that's something that really drew the attention of the Inca people as well, who thought of bears as semi-gods, part of their natural world, and they didn't actually depict them much in a lot of the ceramics and things, and it's thought by a lot of the archaeologists because they were so important to their culture. And so while they, I think, are the most incredible, of course I'm biased, species on the planet, they're incredibly adorable. But as a biologist, what I really like about them is their importance for their ecosystem. So they are the forest engineers. They're an apex predator. They maintain that balanced ecosystem. So we know when we protect spectacled bears, we are protecting a really important part. And in fact, in Peru, by protecting spectacled bears, we are protecting 60% of all habitat for species. So they're really important in Peru. But this is a lot of their landscape, and especially now we're working in Machu Picchu, we're learning. They love high mountains, I have to work in feet, 20,000 feet all the way down to a couple thousand feet. So their terrain is huge, and it's dense, and it's really hard to move about. You can see kind of our biologists down here, and we're putting camera traps throughout this ecosystem. But it's a really challenging place to work. And with that, it makes it really hard to understand them and know what their needs are, their threats, and their risks. And so this kind of forest is their typical habitat, cloud forest, which is dense, full of bamboo, and it's really hard to move through them. And that's really one of the reasons why we know so little and people haven't had that opportunity to see them. But we do work across these 3 different ecosystems, dry forest all the way up to the cloud forest. But for the purpose of this presentation, and I know we have to be quick, although I'm trying not to talk too fast, we're focusing on the dry forest ecosystem, which is this in the photo here. That's a little tiny oasis in the background, but it's an incredibly dry area that gets rain probably every 6 or so years. And while it does look dead, it's actually full of life, full of species and incredible wildlife. But there are these incredible oases. There's maybe in this area about 5 or 6 permanent water holes, which is a critical resource for these bears. So they're coming down to drink. You can hear the screaming cubs in the background. They have temper tantrums just like children do. But one of the biggest challenges that we're faced with, and we're seeing it more and more every year now, is human-bear conflict. And I know this is a common issue in Africa, but we're seeing a lot of this now as well, which ultimately results in retaliatory killing. So we're seeing a lot more poaching occurring, and especially as we move up through our habitat. But also, as many of you know, in the last few years, we've been really dealing with incredible, out-of-control wildfires, which I know here in California is also a concern. And as any of you know, it can happen like that, and it can just wipe out an entire ecosystem. So that's one of our biggest threats. But also for our team. Our team are out there checking camera traps, and in any time, like we've had people out there and stuck in and around wildfires, and you can see this is one of our camera traps photos, melted away. So a lot of this slash and burn is happening because there's not enough land left. There's just not enough land for people. There's not enough land for animals in Peru, and it's being cleared at an astronomical rate for agriculture. This is rice plantations. So this is the bear habitat in the equatorial dry forest, which is a critically endangered ecosystem. So 1980, the green, but this is 1924. That's pretty scary because that's in our lifetime and we're seeing it, and I'm seeing it, my team is seeing it, and it's something that keeps us in this daily panic. And a result of that is this incredible photo, which I don't like talking about it, so I won't dwell on it too much. You can see this bear is starving, and that's a common photo that we see in this area. When there's not enough food, there's just not enough to keep these bears alive. But disease comes with that. When you're not well nourished, you're not well fed, you're really susceptible to disease, which also ends in this. But the solution is protecting habitat. We need to protect enough food, enough space for these bears. And national parks are typically what we think of for protection, which is a part of the solution. This is the northern population we're working to protect. La Pampa is a national park, and you can see this is GPS color points in the national park. But that's how much the bear uses. These are the bears, numerous bears, outside of the park. So we're finding 70% of their time is being spent outside of a park. So the question is, are parks enough? Is that enough to keep the species alive? And you have to think about, if we remove all of the habitat surrounding a national park, will they remain here? And we can see here, no, they won't. So it's not enough. This is Pachito. We're going down to the south just for a second because I wanted to show you. He's an incredible male bear. This is the whole park of Machu Picchu, which is 40,000 hectares. Can't tell you in acres. A lot, close to 100 acres, 100,000 acres. But this bear, he's like moving across mountain ranges from one side to the other. And I put this in just to show you this little tiny red circle here. So these are his points across time. This little tiny red circle is in front of Machu Picchu. That's what those mountains look like. So this dude is walking across those mountains, and that's nothing. This is like a dot in his habitat range. So when you're talking about conservation and trying to keep these species and can protect enough land for them, well, look at these mountains. Like, these are huge. So that was that, you know? And so that's one of our biggest challenges. And I wanted to put this up just to show you. He walked like a couple of 100 kilometers or miles in only a few days. He did close to 100,000 meters of elevation gain. So thinking of feet, we're talking like 300,000 feet. Up, down, up, down, up, down. That's why they're so big and buff and tough. That's the train to Machu Picchu for anybody that's been to Machu Picchu. So these bears are used to hearing a lot of human sounds. That's probably why they go up, just to get away from it all. But so how do we deal with that? Large spaces, these bears need a lot of food. So this is our strategy. We use research, monitoring. We have to understand what their needs are. We need to understand what the resources are. Habitat protection and, of course, community empowerment. I'm sure today you've heard some incredible presentations about the importance of community. The future of conservation is in community. It requires the people who are living amongst these bears, living around these areas, to protect and to be incorporated into the conservation plan. Empowering these women. Being part of our Felty program, many of you have seen and purchased, thank you, our product outside. Currently, we can't ship any product out of Peru to the US because of the tariffs, and Peru has stopped shipping to the US. So please help us sell some of these products. It's a real challenge for us right now, so something we need to work on and continue to diversify. So hopefully we can keep these women employed. We've trained over 200 women and have them working full-time and make up to 40,000 products a year. So the program is really expanding, but we need to be able to ship to the US and or Europe or anywhere. So. But getting to the point of this whole area is land purchase. This is a really big one for us right now. So this was a dream that started 10 years ago, and we were able to purchase our first swath of land, 1,000 acres, in 2021, with the idea is that we would keep poachers off and start enhancing the land and try to expand it in the resources. I mentioned before, water is a really important resource, so we've been building water holes and trying to make sure these bears have what they need.
So, but we didn't stop there. We dreamed bigger, and thanks to many of the people who are here in this room and WCN, we are very excited to say that we have officially purchased 5,000 acres of this amazing critical bear habitat. So with you, I was just trying to assimilate. In fact, I arrived to SPC right on the day where this whole process finalized and the dream was official. And I was trying to assimilate the dimension of what was now secured for the bear population with SPC. So this is a video of Calicantro, and yeah, it took me a few days, and I was trying to interview everybody on site the day that all this happened, and everybody was crying, and it was full of emotion of just the dimension that it is. This is the land purchase seen in the map, and as Robyn said, the National Park of Laquipampa isn't enough, and truly what Calicantro represents is an official and very secured grocery shop for bears, because well, this place holds a specific and crucial fruit called sapote. And sapote is an essential fruit that ensures the reproductive cycle of the bears and feeds them off well. I've tried this fruit, it's very strange. And it's strange looking as well. But yeah, this fruit has all the sugars and carbohydrates and essential minerals that ensure, in fact, that the bears have this food available. Hopefully, and we are very hopeful that with Calicantro, we're not going to see sites like this anymore. This is a mama bear feeding off a tree, and they literally feed off a tree for 2 weeks. They can feed off this wood for 2 weeks, and what she's doing here is eating the tree and then translating that into breastfeeding milk with her cub there. So by ensuring the land, we're hopeful that we won't see sites like this anymore. We've been seeing sites like this every winter, and most of the times they don't have any food available, and that's what they're eating. As much as everybody loves our logo, and this is part of our logotype, we're hopeful that with Calicantro we don't see sites like this anymore. This is Laura, a mama bear, passing on saliva to her cub because her cub was severely dehydrated and she had ran out of milk to breastfeed him. So with Calicantro we're ensuring all this food for the species. As much as it is amazing to ensure it for bears, it's also amazing to ensure it and keep it safe for other amazing species that coexist with the spectacled bear. It is a biodiversity hotspot that holds endemic birds that only exist in this region of the equatorial dry forest, and most of them coexist with the bears. But there is still a lot of work to do. Most of the surrounding areas have indigenous communities, and these are severely threatened every year by forest fires that are very aggressive and get rapidly out of control. Which is why we're scaling up and empowering the communities through our programs, and also supporting them through family planning. We're also working a lot on education and making the bear present in the future generation of what could potentially be the conservationists of the future around the area. And we're passing on the torch with conservation through very meaningful and trustful and long-term relationships with the communities. So what is next? I'm going to hand it off to Robyn once more.
And now I'm going to go really quick because I know we're out of time. but there's only like 4 slides. So I let Yannick do the big news because the 5,000 acres was a really emotional time for all of us, but I do want to just say thanks to everybody. I know there's a lot of supporters that made that happen, so thank you. I won't keep talking about that. We'll talk after. But so what's next? Yannick said what's next, and we're here in land. So we didn't stop there. We didn't stop with dibujos, and with all of your support, we realized there's so much more we can do, and we can continue to think bigger, more impact, keep growing. And so we're moving on to phase 2. So the second phase, Calicantro, took us 2 years to raise those funds. We made that our legal goal. So now we want to be even more ambitious, and we're going to go for 1 year. So we're moving into the next phase of Calicantro, which is the same area, which will create one huge protected area for these bears and basically storing all of the food that's required for these bears. So leaving with that, this is Laura and her cub from our logo, but this is an incredibly important place. This new phase of land purchase is incredibly important for the reproduction of these bears. It has essential foods that puts them into estrus, maintains their reproduction, and allows them to continue to lactate and increase their survival rates for the cubs. So hopefully we can continue to see. This is some of my very original footage. It's like 17, 18 years old the first time we saw a female and cub in the wild. But I just wanted to leave, and I think fitting, a quote from Dr. Jane Goodall, and she did say, we all make a difference in the world, but we can choose the difference that we want to make. So I hope you choose to make a difference and to help continue to support our land purchase. I did it without crying.